These mountains and valleys of Italy were not always so peaceful. Twice this region had seen the deadliest conflicts known to mankind. When sticks and stones failed to complete their task, the inhabitants of these lands sought explosives and machinery. Throughout history, Europe has been the testing ground for kingdoms with new armies, countries with new ideas of governments, and entire civilizations to rise and fall. A period of history that has been host to all of these events is the Great War. The Great War, also known as the First World War, began in 1914, was sparked by the shooting of Archduke Franz Ferdinand by Gavrilo Princip in Sarajevo, Austria. This began hostilities between the Austrians and the Serbians, which in turn resulted in hostilities between Germany and Russia. The Central Powers, consisting of Austria, Italy and Germany, had an alliance and an agreement to protect one another from neighbouring countries in the event of war. Russia, France and Serbia had a similar agreement, resulting in the two sides declaring war on each other. On one hand, Italy had the Triple Alliance Agreement. On the other hand, it had been making fresh alliances with the French and the British. When the war broke out in 1914, the Italians were divided on which side they should join. After all, they saw no political incentive to send their troops to a front line, and Italian public opinion favoured staying neutral. With the war already being the deadliest in human history, both sides were keen to end it as quickly as possible. Italy would be a new front to the war, with Germany and Austria already being squeezed by the Russian East and the Franco-British West. Around the same time, Italy had also opened up negotiation channels with the Austrians, in the hopes of Italy assisting the current offensives against the Triple Entente. Russian victories in the Carpathians, promises of possible territorial gains in the Mediterranean, and a hypothetical quick Entente victory if they were to assist in the war efforts all helped push the Italians to agree with and sign the secret Treaty of London. Italy began to believe that the glory and the prize to be worth the sacrifice in the long run. Even if the Italians could not push into Central Power territory and topple the German Empire themselves, they would at least open up a new front and stretch the Central Powers' forces thinly for the Russians on the east and the Anglo-French on the west. On the 23rd of May 1915, the Italians declared war. Interestingly, however, the declaration was only against the Austro-Hungarians, and the country would not declare war against the German or Ottoman empires for another 3 months. For 2 years, the Alpine front stretched from the Isonzo River, then in Austria, to the Altopiano Assaggio Mountains on the Italian side of the border. This involved a mix of mountain warfare as well as trench warfare. This culminated in 12 separate battles throughout the war for control of the river, each battle with varying degrees of success for the Italians.
È un disastro perché ci sono state 12 battaglie che più che altro hanno adoperato gas contro l'Italia.
And whilst the Italian ground forces were pushed back into Italian territory by the shocking use of chemical warfare, the Italian Air Force too felt the effects of Caporetto. Before the battle, the Air Force were an effective force and a deterrent on the Austrian forces. Both sides employed anti-aircraft weapons, whilst an aim of the Austrian offensive was to set the Italian Air Force back at least a year. However, Italian planes were rarely flown when unprovoked by Austrian aircraft.
La Grande Guerra ha un punto cardine che è Caporetto. Prima di Caporetto gli italiani hanno provato 12 volte a sfondare la linea che gli austro-ungarici tenevano, appunto con 12 battaglie senza mai riuscire. Poi gli austro-tedeschi si mettono insieme, fanno la battaglia di Caporetto, sfondano e le truppe imperiali attraversano tutto il Friuli il Veneto e arrivano sul Piave e sul Grappa.
This loss forced Italy into an embarrassing retreat. In what is now known as the First Battle of Piave River, Italian Chief of General Staff Luigi Cadorna ordered Monte Grappa, as well as other mountains in the Altopiano Assaggio, to be used as a new defensive line in the warfare. Mountain warfare was now the new norm for the Alpine front. Fortresses like this were built along Italy's land borders and being occupied for use of the war. Fort Corbin, on the southwestern corner of the Saggio Plateau, still stands to this day, despite being bombarded with Austrian artillery during 1917. Armando Diaz, who replaced Cadorna as the new Italian Chief of Staff, instructed a division of the Italian army to hold their position between two nearby mountains with the help of another division. The aim was to create a new, definitive front line and to prevent the Austrian forces from reaching Venezia. The Austrians, with help from the German Alpenkorps, failed to claim Mount Grappa's summit during the first battle, which spanned from November the 11th to December 23rd, 1917. Diaz was known for allowing his commanders more freedom and taking on board their suggestions, rather than the strict attitude of his predecessors. This would have helped boost morale of the retreating Italian forces.
E qui gli italiani hanno l'ordine di resistere. E questa è la prima battaglia ed è la battaglia di arresto fatta nel 17.
The outcome of this new line in the snow through the Piave River proved effective and was successful in halting Austrian forces from entering and claiming the key port city of Venezia.
Il Veneto ha diverse porzioni di fronte, nel senso che la guerra si stende dalle montagne al mare e in base ai territori si possono trovare o non trovare segni. In montagna ci sono ancora i trincee, i ricoveri, mentre giù in pianura tutto è stato restituito all'agricoltura, non c'è più traccia. C'è traccia nella memoria dei paesi perché le popolazioni sono state sfollate, perché ci sono ancora le vecchie ville che erano comandi o ospedali e è un profumo che si sente.
Beh, su tutto il fronte, dal Carso, Grappa, Altipiano di Asiago, cioè tutto il fronte del Veneto, diciamo, si vede di tutto.
Both sides of this conflict joined with an old-school war mentality. The Central Powers were quicker to adapt and produced more modern equipment to deal with these mountainous conditions. The terrain was not the only change.
Questo fucile è semplice perché ha due manovre. Così spara e così carica e poi spara. Invece altri fucili inglesi, francesi, tutti sono tre manovre e sono più veloci a caricare e sparare. Però l'Italia hanno fatto un fucile con 6 colpi per avere una pallottola in più per sparare. Questa è per la cavalleria austriaca. Perché questa è cavalleria austriaca? Questa andava sulla cinghia a cavallo. Ora, essendo giù, non prendeva i rami, perché se prendeva un ramo si strozzava.
Italy, in order to compete with Austria, sought a solution to their lack of speed.
Questo è il fucile 91 del 1917 e portava il nastrino da 6 colpi. Però aveva una manovra più lenta dell'altra. Faceva così, caricava, spingeva, chiudeva e sparava. Poi il mirino così giù, però adesso è. Così era, come si dice, arrivava a 2 chilometri, 200 metri, scusa, 200 metri. Più lontano doveva andare, doveva alzare il mirino, perché il fucile, sparando lontano, doveva alzarlo di più per andare più lontano.
Weapons like these will have seen action on the mountains of the Assaggio Altopiano, the valley of the plateau, and on the riverbanks of the Piave.
metà giugno gli austro-ungarici riprovano in questo assalto nel tentativo di finire la guerra e vincere, ed è la battaglia del giugno.
From the 15th to the 23rd of June 1918, the Solstice Battle was fought. Armando Diaz forged a line of defence along the Piave. It was the first time in the war that Italy had received backup from the Allies, as France and Britain sent a small amount of reinforcements up to the front. However, they did not last long, as they were repositioned to the Western Front in the German Spring Offensive of 1918, and these Anglo-French reinforcements were little in comparison to the soldiers Germany supplied to Austria-Hungary.
Here there was the front line along the river Piave, and was a static front line. There was no trench like in Verdun or in other part of the front line of the First World War, because there was a river. But you had battles here between maybe the Austro-Hungarian that tried to come throughout the river and invade this part that was in which there were the Italians.
The Austro-Hungarian assault on the Piave was met with great failure, as the Italian army, alongside minimal Anglo-French aid, were able to push their adversaries back across the river, where many troops fell trying to wade through the strong current. The Piave River hosted 8 days of bullets and explosions exchanged by the two armies. However, the area also played host to people not wanting to exchange bloodshed, but to offer aid. One of these people was American journalist Ernest Hemingway.
Hemingway era un ragazzo di 18 anni che è venuto in Italia per vedere la guerra, e per farlo ha dovuto arruolarsi nella Croce Rossa. Arrivò nel Basso Piave verso la fine della battaglia del giugno e qui vide la guerra con i suoi occhi, incontrò la morte, e questo lo segnò per tutta la vita. Dopo la Seconda Guerra Mondiale tornò per rivedere i posti dove era stato ferito e venne a riprendersi parte di quella gioventù. Era l'epoca in cui stava scrivendo Al di là del fiume tra gli alberi. È per lui quella curva del fiume un posto che lo ha cambiato 2 volte. La prima volta quando è stato ferito, e la seconda volta quando è tornato da uomo maturo per lasciare completamente le armi e scrivere da uomo vecchio. Dopo che lui tornò qua, dopo aver scritto Al di là del fiume tra gli alberi, non scrisse più di combattimenti e guerre, cambiò il modo di scrivere e infatti scrisse Il vecchio e il mare.
Hemingway was witness to the final days of the Second Battle of the Piave and the first days of an Italian offensive that would help bring an end to the war. After nearly a year on the retreat and defensive, with their backs against the wall, Italy had managed to stand their ground firmly at the Piave River, and with an end goal in sight, the Italians pushed forward with the now crumbling Austro-Hungarian Empire on the retreat. The tides of war had changed. As the war painfully continued into the closing months of 1918, the Italian forces continued to drive the combined Austrian-German armies further away from Venezia and toward the border. If the Second Battle of the Piave River was the turning point in the Alpine front, then this was the door closing on any chance of further conflict. The Austro-Hungarian Empire was politically collapsing, German supplies and reinforcements being diverted toward the now American-led Western Front. On the 24th of October 1918, the hard work of the Italian forces and the desperate attempts of retaliation by the Austrian forces culminated in the Battle of Vittorio Veneto. Whilst the Austro-Hungarian forces alone outnumbered the Triple Entente combined numbers, the casualties speak for themselves. 30,000 Austrian soldiers killed, compared to 7,000 Italians.
L'ultima battaglia è quella che avviene a fine guerra, quando ormai l'impero austro-ungarico si stava sfaldando e gli italiani attaccano e riescono praticamente a rimandare indietro gli austro-ungarici oltre il confine e la guerra finisce.
When the war was finished, regions like Veneto are still home to many artifacts of the war, and the residents of the country hold strong bonds with their ancestors.
È il 4, scusa, sei nato. E ogni tanto c'è qualche manifestazione a memoria dei nostri caduti, sia da una parte all'altra, Italia, Francia, Germania, cioè adesso siamo europei, diciamo, che prima era un ostacolo.
For example, in San Donà di Piave, in Eraclea, but in San Donà di Piave, they made in 1922-1921 the bridge between the two sides of the city that was destroyed during the First World War. And in that moment, when it was opened for the first time, I remember there was the Prime Minister that came here and celebrate together this fact about, obviously, the victory of the First World War.
E quindi qui hanno memorie condivise, a volte capita che abbiamo turisti che vengono a vedere i posti dove hanno combattuto i nonni. E la cosa che mi fa piacere che mi dicono è il fatto che quando vengono qua c'è un profumo, c'è un modo di sentire, è una percezione che esiste ancora.